first of all, what is create deep entity? Create deep entity means creating an entity details along with its child entity data. I will repeat this. Creating an entity anyway, along with that entity, creating the data of the child entity as well. So in this case, here we are creating only employee. Creating only employee is not called as create deep entity. Along with this employee, if you are creating the child entity, what is the child entity of employee? So if you see your metadata document, can anybody tell me what is the child entity of employee?
Projects.
Projects, right? So that is what is the relation that we created between employee and project. So employee is the main entity, and there is a association between employees to projects. So projects is the child entity. So if you are creating employee, along with the projects of this employee, then this concept is called create deep entity. Okay, this concept is also called as header line item scenario. Header and line item scenario. So why this is called as header and line item scenario? Header means this one. Okay, so line item means its projects are called line items. So let me open already developed application. Yeah. So let me open employee management application. So here, when you click on the create employee, so employee details along with its project data. So this particular table is a dynamic table. So when you click on the plus, so these are the line items of employee. Got it? This is header, this is line item. Okay. And there is one more reason why this scenario is called as create deep entity. The reason is when you click on the save button, here when you click on the save button, we are sending employee data along with the project data. So both data we are sending. That means we are sending one single employee record. Along with the employee record, we are sending multiple project records. So that means one single record along with the multiple project records to the backend. So whenever you are sending this kind of deep structure, this structure is called deep structure. In this case, in a backend, it won't call your employee set underscore create underscore entity method. It won't call. But instead, it will call the method create underscore deep underscore entity. So that is also the reason why this scenario is called create deep entity. One second, guys. Guys, few people they're pinging me and asking, is there any class today? You don't need to ask me. If if the class is not there, I will update in the group itself. You can check the updates from the group. So, yeah. So by default, you can confirm like class will always be there unless there is a message in the group. All right. So that is what is create deep entity, guys. So just to summarize in one line. So whenever you are sending a header along with its line items, then it will go and call in the backend. It won't call employee set underscore create underscore entity method, but instead it will call create underscore deep underscore entity method. Okay, so that's basically the difference. Now coming to the implementation. So in the front end, we need to implement this dynamic table because the end user has to add the project data of this employee as well. So in today's class, we are going to see the front end part, how to add this table. And when you click on the save button, you need to send not only employee data, but also this project's data. So how to do that, we'll see in today's class. And in the backend, this will call create underscore deep underscore entity method. So you need to pull this data into this method, separate employee data into the employee table, separate projects data into the projects table. So how to do that? That you will understand in tomorrow's class. So today we are going to see create deep entity front end scenario. Okay, right. For any create deep entity scenario in the front end, we keep this dynamic table. The table will have initially no data, no rows at all, line item 0, and the end user will be given a provision with a plus button to add the rows dynamically. The moment you click plus, a row is added. The moment you click plus, another row is added. So like this, you can add any number of rows. Similarly, you can also delete any number of rows the way you want. And I made this line item 0. So it's totally dynamic table. How to develop these kind of tables? Now this is again based on the JSON model concept. We know that a table can be binded directly to a OData model. A table can be binded to a JSON model as well. JSON model contains JSON data, right? So in this scenario, we don't bind the table with the OData model binding because OData model binding is required only when you are pulling the data from backend to the front end. In this case, I'm not pulling any backend data into the front end. I'm just creating the records here itself, right? I'm adding the project details. These details does not exist in the backend yet. I need to submit them. Correct. So in this table, there is no meaning to bind this with the OData model binding. That is, to some entity set binding is not required. So definitely this table will be binded to a JSON model. Okay. And JSON model means it stores JSON data. So just to recap, what is a JSON data? The JSON data will have open braces, closing braces, and in between it will have the name of the property and its value, something like this. Employee ID 100001, project code, for example, something. So some project code does not matter, and so on. Project name. So we have project name, sample project 1, like this. So this is for single record, and if it is for multiple records, then it should take the form of a array. So let me repeat. This is 2. So these are multiple records. So multiple record means array syntax will come. Array. So array of projects. It's an array, open braces there and closing braces here. And again, this entire thing is a JSON data. So open braces and closing braces. So this is the format. This is the syntax of the JSON data. So let us go ahead and create this table and bind this table with a JSON model. So I'm going to do that. So this, I need view 3 and view 3 controller. So this is view 3. I need view 3 controller and manifest.json. I'll go to manifest.json to the models section to create my new model. So I need a new JSON model for this table. I'm going to create it. I will call this model name as projects model. PRJ model. It's a JSON model. Okay. So my JSON model is created. But remember, whenever a JSON model is created, it will not have any data. It is empty. It's an empty object. It does not contain any data. So what I will do, in the view3 controller, inside the onInit function, I'm going to get this project model by using this dot get owner component dot get model, and I'm going to get this project model. So you know that any model we can get by using this dot get owner component. So owner component means component.js. On the component.js, you can write get model function and you can give the model name. So when I have given the model name, I will get this model name. Okay. Now I got this model name, project model. Fine. So I'm ready. I have my project model ready in the init function. Okay. Fine. Now the next step we are going to do is, let us create this table. Let us create this particular table. So this particular table is nothing but our projects table. So after this simple form, I'm going to create the table UI element. Table, and then let's do, let me add the columns of this table. So text equal to, what is the first column? Employee ID. Employee ID first column, and then the second column, which is project code, then what else? Project code, project name, and then project description, and then what else? Client name. Okay, so these are the columns of the table. So I just added only the columns of the table. So let's have a look at this. You can give header toolbar, so which is another part. A toolbar, and inside you need to create a toolbar, and inside the toolbar you need to create a title. So this is something which you already know. Sorry, add it's a title. So let's have a look at that. All right, so I have this add projects table, and this table is having 5 columns: employee ID, project name, project code, description, client name. And to give the facility to add new rows into this table, I need a plus button in the header toolbar here. Okay, So I can add this button here. So button text equals to add icon equals to SAP -icon / add, and you want a blue color, so you can give emphasized. So it's a button, but this button will come at the front, so you want it at the end of the, so this button comes here, you want it here. So can anybody tell me how can I bring this button to here?
Toolbar spacer, using toolbar spacer.
That's the correct answer. Nice. Toolbar spacer. Yeah. So this will go and stand over there. Okay. Fine. Now all of you listen. When I click on the plus button, I want an empty row in this table with the input fields. Okay, so this we are going to do step by step, because if I do directly, you may have some confusion. So let us do step by step. See, I have this JSON model which is empty, right? At this moment, the JSON model is empty. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this JSON model dot set data. So the JSON model does not have the data. I'm going to set this data. Set data. Now inside the set data, I need to give only JSON data. So open braces, closing braces. So don't forget the syntax. Open braces, closing braces, and in between, I need to give this array of projects. Array. Now inside this array, so let me create some dummy projects as a step number 1. Okay. So let me give this employee ID equals to 10001, comma, project code equals to project something, then project name equals to project 1, comma, project description, colon. So description also I'm giving the same, does not matter. And last one is client name, ABC. Okay. So let me just copy this, Control C, Control V, and I will call for the same employee. I'm just taking another project, project 2. This is project 2. This is project 2. The client is some XYZ. Okay, right. So this array is filled with some dummy data. Okay, some dummy data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind my table with this array. So using the JSON model binding. So this is something you already know how this is my JSON model. Project model is JSON model. Inside the JSON model, I have this JSON data, and we know that we can bind our table to a JSON data. So items equals to, so what is the syntax? Model name, it is project model, arrow mark / array name. Array name is array of projects. Items binding is format document. Yeah, so items binding, syntax is model name arrow mark / array name. So model name is project model, arrow mark / array name is array of projects. So since the items is binded here, now I can write the items tag, the looping. So inside the loop, I need to write the column list item, and inside the column list item. Column list item means one row of the table. Now inside the row, so let me just put the text UI elements. So with the text as UMP Now let me copy this. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is employee ID, then project code, then project name, then project description, and then my name. All right. And since it's a JSON model, you need to take this JSON model as a at the front. All right. Now let's have a look at the output window. Now you can see this table is filled with this data. So basically, whatever there in the array, so whatever is there in the array, so with that array data, this table is filled. Why this table is filled with the data? Because the table binded with the JSON model. JSON model means, so it binds with the inside the JSON model, whatever the array is there. So with that array, it will bind. So since the array contains 2 records, my table also contains 2 records. Now step number 2. See, I'm just slowly taking you into a dynamic table. Okay, so at a time, if I take you to the dynamic table, then some of you might have confusion. So that's the reason. So in my table, I don't want to just display the data using text UI elements, but instead I want input fields. So what I'm doing, I will go to my table and I will say, instead of text UI elements, I will say input UI element. And we know that input field does not have the text property, but it has the value property. Okay, it's a value property. Fine. Now let us see the output. So instead of the text UI element, I replaced with the input field. Right. So I have this particular input fields. That is also fine.